Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play Team. This actual play uses the 7th edition Call of Cthulhu tabletop role-playing game rules by Chaosium. This actual play is performed by adults and in an adult setting. While we try very hard to stick to language for all ages, listeners should know that this podcast may include mature themes. All content, including names, places, events, companies, and etc., that may bear resemblance to entities living or dead, is strictly coincidental. My name is Michael Diamond, and for tonight's game, I will be your keeper. Thank you for joining us again in another episode of the Old Ways podcast. I'm your keeper, Keeper Michael, and welcome to Horror on the Orient Express, the Season 1 finale. And so, over this first season, we've had the utter enjoyment and pleasure of the current cast. And so they're going to go through the round of inductions. But before they do, I want to thank them for doing what they have done over the past 23 episodes. I think that they have brought an amazing amount of flair and flavor to the Orient Express campaign. And so now we'll go through introductions. To my right.
Hello, I'm Mike, and I'm playing James Robert Fraser, who's had a lovely afternoon in the Louvre and then has put his feet up for a little bit with a nice cup of tea.
And to his right.
Hi, I'm Rena, and I play Lady Elizabeth Fitzroy, who has acquired an NPC.
Yes, you have another member of your, another member of...
my entourage.
Yes, Paul. You're now your direct doctor on call, as it were. That's we'll slowly begin to fill out the rest of your NPC henchmen or companions, as it were, at the end of the table.
Hi, I'm Giles, and I'm playing Simon Griffith, and I'm just looking forward to napping on the train.
You know, I'm looking forward to that as well. To Mr. Griffith's right.
Hi, I'm Miranda, and I'm playing Maggie Bellinger, and I think I have a score to settle with a porcelain arm.
Yeah, it's strange. I think it's interesting that you spent a few hours playing with an arm with Richard. Which, speaking of...
I'm Martin, and I'm playing Richard Courtney, and definitely not mentioning the fact that I put the arm in the bath.
Well, that's probably a good idea. And so we're going to raise our curtain tonight on the platform in Paris, where the Orient Express awaits. Our investigators have collected themselves, prepared for a late departure, and it's impossible to get past this without a bit of exhilaration. The staff is in their perfect button coats, gently beginning to usher passengers aboard. There's a band playing nearby, even on this cold night. There's almost a bit of extra pomp and circumstance. Stepping aboard the train, you can tell that the same amount of attention has been placed, as always, on the coach cars. The one thing that welcomes you immediately is the fact that the train is heated. Each of the berths are luxuriously appointed and comfortable. And Mr. Fraser, you spot someone immediately that you recognize after just getting into your coach. And that would be one Miss Cavallaro.
She happens to glance my way. I'll smile and nod politely.
She does. She, along with 2 or 3 of her attendants, are arriving onto the train. She nods and also gives Lady Elizabeth a respectful smile. It seems that she's just finished another performance, and Miss Cavallaro is continuing on down the line of the Orient Express. She's onto her way to Milan's famous opera house, and the group begins to get settled. Anyone taking any special attention to their items? As you well know, these berths will be yours for a considerable amount of time.
I'd like to have things a very certain way, so I will definitely be taking time.
Okay.
Setting things up, putting them where I can remember where they are.
In contrast, Maggie's things are in a very uncertain way.
Speaking of Maggie's things, perhaps the arm? Where are you placing that?
Oh no, Richard definitely still has the arm.
I see.
Nowhere near Maggie.
So, Richard, what are you doing with Maggie's arm?
So Richard will probably just stick it on top of the luggage compartment next to the suitcases.
Sure.
The little thing, the racks at the top.
Yeah, somewhere where it could get jostled hard and injured. Thanks,
Well.
Richard.
It's just an art.
So, a brief knock arrives, not but a few moments after.
So I'll be setting out my things. My compartment will hopefully very shortly be looking as identical to my own little rooms in Kensington as I can possibly make it. That's because I like the familiar. Hello, who is it?
You hear a lady's voice. Miss Maria?
One moment, please. And I'll just check and make sure everything is just so in the room. If there's a mirror handy, I'll kind of just smooth my hair down, make sure my collar's, tying my collar straight, and answer the door. Hello.
On the other side of the doorway is a waif of a woman with tightly kept dark hair, nice smooth complexion, and she seems a bit shy. Her eyes are pointed at the floor when you open the door. She looks up. Excuse me, you are Monsieur Fraser?
I am. Can I help you?
Indeed. Miss Caterina Cavollaro is asking for you to join her in the salonka this evening.
Oh.
She was hoping you and your group would have some time for perhaps an evening drink.
I'd be honoured. Of course. Now, what time would she like us to be there?
Oh, I believe Miss Cavollaro has already begun her festivities, so prompt attention would be appreciated.
Yes, of course. Any particular dress code? Is it black tie affair or?
She just gives you a very respectful look up and down. You seem to be dressed quite nicely.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Very kind of you to say so. I'll speak to the others, and yes. For myself, I'd be more than honoured to come along. Thank you very much. Express my gratitude to Miss Cavallero.
She curtsies in front of you and then moves down the line.
Oh, well, I never. And I'll tap on Lady Elizabeth's door first and foremost.
Yes, who is it?
It's Mr. Fraser, your ladyship.
I'll get up from my seat and just open the door. Yes?
Your ladyship, we've been invited for some light refreshments in the carriage down the way by Miss Nina Cavallaro, the opera singer. I don't know if you're up for attending or whether you appreciate the rigours of the day. Perhaps you're a little tired, but the invitation is there if you wish to come along. And if I may myself go along, I'd be very grateful.
Yes, of course, Fraser. I'll make an appearance. Probably shan't stay too long, but feel free to make a night of it.
Of course.
I should dress up, I suppose, so I will meet you there.
Very well, thank you. I'll let the others know. The party is all invited.
Ah, excellent. And she closes her door and lets out this...
Last thing you wanted.
Another required social engagement.
God. So many parties. And then I'll move along to Maggie's room and I'll tap gently on the door. Miss Bellinger, are you there?
Yes, Mr. Fraser, what is it?
I was wondering if you'd care to accompany us to the carriage of Miss Nina Cavallaro. You may know of her, the opera singer. She has invited us to join her party for some drinks this evening.
Oh, yes, that sounds quite delightful. I will definitely attend.
Marvelous. I'll let the others know, and whenever you're ready, just call, and we'll all go down together, I suppose.
Oh, that sounds fine.
And I'll do the same for Professor Courtney and Mr. Griffith as well. Just tap on the door and ask if they'd like to come down to the party.
Yeah, I mean, is anyone going to stay back?
Doesn't sound like it.
I'll be there with bells on. Not literally, but have to at least show up.
And so the group of you head down soon thereafter into the salon car, where it seems that Miss Cavallaro and many of her entourage have taken over a large portion of one end of the salon car. The staff at the Orient Express are making her as comfortable as they possibly can, and the man behind the bar is working overtime with the amount that they are imbibing. Maggie, to you, this looks like a real good time. This is the first party that you've actually seen this side.
I feel like it makes Maggie excited. It reminds her of kind of her life back in the States and all the parties she would go to. So she's excited to cut loose after all of this work we've been doing lately.
I would question the lot of you is how are you spending your time with Miss Cavallaro's group? You do get direct attention from her at some point during the first hour or so of the soiree. She impresses upon you her hopes and dreams that you will go to Milan because it is such a beautiful and wondrous city. She talks to you about all the beautiful statuary and all of the beautiful buildings in Milan. They cannot be missed. She speaks very highly of the city, and she speaks very highly of you, all in turn from her impressions of you over that night. She puts quite a bit of praise on Mr. Fraser, probably enough to make you a bit uncomfortable, James. But
incredibly embarrassed.
She even babies him a little bit. She spends close attention to like his hand that is bandaged. She's very worried. She's very concerned. Some of you may read that she's maybe had a few drinks before she arrived on the train, but she's not at all out of sorts. She's well within her guardrails, so to speak.
Yeah, so Mr. Fraser's really not massively comfortable in this kind of atmosphere. He feels a bit like a fish out of water. So, he'll have a drink in his hand and he'll kind of stand quietly in the corner and accept any flattery with a little reddening of the cheeks. But he's really he's really hoping and praying that she's going to sing. That's why he's there, just in case she sings.
Just in case. So after another hour or so of stories and drinks and revelry, she tells you all just to stay put and don't think of retiring early because it's not allowed. Not on this train, not now. And she whisks off to her cabin, after which, just a few moments later, seemingly, she returns in one of the most beautiful silver gowns you've ever seen. Put on a little bit of a darker mascara, and she has a long chain around her neck with an ankh at the end of it. And she says, 3 nights from now, I will be performing a song, and I would like to give you a preview of what the people will see. And so the people around her and the rest of the people using the salon car get very hushed. And she says, while glancing Mr. Fraser's way, that the opera is very important to her because she saw it when she was 5. It was her first opera. And she believes that this tradition that her grandmother told her of, that if she can complete this first song that she first saw, that she will have arrived in totality as a singer. And so she begins to put a lot of emotional weight behind her words. And you can see that her eyes water when speaking specifically of her grandmother. And she begins to sing. And whether it's the harmonies produced by her vocal cords, or whether it's the way the sound moves throughout the train, this salon car hums with her words. Every raise and lower of pitch as she begins to go through this is so rich and clear that you feel them reverberate inside your brain. It is something otherworldly for the next several minutes that goes on. The glasses stop clinking. The hum of the tracks is pushed to the background. And the only thing you hear is Cavallero's voice. And when it ends, it is replaced by thunderous applause from the people around him, save the staff members.
Anyone who glances over in Mr. Fraser's direction will notice him wiping his cheek a little as he applauds at the end.
Lady E is impressed despite herself, and she applauds as well.
Richard's just going to go along with the crowd and applaud, but probably not really understand what's going on.
Maggie will do the same.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's something beyond fantastic. And you glance over towards the clock, which is positioned behind the bar, Mr. Fraser, and you realize that it is just now past 2 a.m. And the weight of the day hits you like a hammer. Not to the hand, per se, but heavy.
So I'll reach out for the arm of a chair if there's one and sit down heavily. Deep sigh. Oh my.
Now that the song's over, Lady Elizabeth is just going to be like, okay, I can go now. And she's just going to try and quietly slip out from the back of the room.
Interestingly enough, Miss Cavallero does just about the same. She says, au revoir, and slips out the other side of the salon car towards her sleeping berth. And soon her cadre follows. And you can see the staff immediately whip into shape to begin resetting the room.
Mr. Fraser, I shan't be leaving my compartment before 10, I don't think. I have already arranged for my breakfast to be brought to my room. So please don't trouble yourself, and get some rest yourself.
Will we be travelling on to Milan directly, or I believe the train is due to arrive in Lausanne at 7 a.m.
She almost lets out a very unladylike word, but catches herself just in time. Well, I shall be needing a hotel in the morning then.
Aye, of course, I shall make all the necessary arrangements. I think perhaps a day of leisure tomorrow, where we can recover and recuperate. Well, I say tomorrow, it's today now.
Don't remind me. And I stagger off to bed, as ladylike as possible.
A very good night to you, Your Ladyship.
All right, I suppose the rest of you are likely going to bed as well.
Yes. Though Maggie is still very curious about whether the arm is still, in a sense, attached to her. So she might ask Richard to do a little experiment on it.
On the arm?
Yes. I know that we had thought possibly if I spent the night away from it, it would disconnect from me. So I wonder if possibly if you could maybe rap on it again to see if that's the case. Unfortunately, I think that's the only way for us to tell.
Yes, I don't really want to hurt you, but I think we should explore it. Yes, I agree. It might be as well if you were to stay in your carriage.
I was thinking the same. Yes.
Yes.
So I'll go back to my quarters, and let's say in about 10 minutes time then.
Okay. Richard will pull his watch from his pocket and have a look, and that's okay.
Yes, just rap on it then, and we'll see what happens, and then I can report back in the morning.
I would.
Or I could report back tonight if you'd like.
Yes, I think I'll come and see you. I mean, I wouldn't want anything horrendous to happen, and for you to be laying there all evening.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yes. Then after 10 minutes, you'll rap on the arm, and then come check on me.
Yes, then rap on the door afterwards. Yes, in a few moments then, or 10 minutes.
Yes. And Maggie will head off towards her cabin.
Okay, so you 10 minutes later or so, Richard, by what method will you be experimenting on her arm with?
We'll be using the 2 wooden dice method.
All right.
A classic scientific method.
That's right. Clearly. In a range of 1 to 5, how hard are you going to hit it?
I'll probably go for 3.
Okay. While it would be stifled mostly by the movement of the train, there is some call from her room. And Lady Elizabeth, you'd likely be asleep, so I don't know if this would necessarily wake you. Maggie, you get a pretty intense pain at the elbow, enough where you can't keep the sound from passing through your lips. It's too much.
Yeah, so Maggie would cry out then.
Is it loud enough for Richard to hear?
You hear something from that area of the train. You hear footsteps in the hallway soon after, Maggie. You imagine it's Richard coming to look in on you.
I'll just wait for him.
Okay. Richard, you exit the door soon thereafter, and you see that there is an attendant on the train coming towards Miss Bellinger's door.
Is everything okay?
He looks at you. I heard, is she all right?
I don't know. Let me have a look. And he's going to sort of, not push the attendant out of the way, but just sort of invade his space and very much take over, and then knock on the door.
Very well, Martin. Brawl rolls. No, I'm kidding.
Yes.
Okay, so you kind of slide in. He seems to give way a bit, and you are you going to just go ahead and open her door?
No, I mean that would be most ungentlemanly like. So Richard will give the door a sharp couple of taps.
Right.
Maggie.
Yes, come in.
Oh, well, thank you, my dear chap. And he'll turn to the attendant and hope he goes away. Are you okay? I thought I heard something.
Do I see, when he opens the door, do I see the attendant still out there?
You do see that there's another man in the hallway.
Okay, so I'll say, yes, I'm quite fine. I fell, and I wink and say, I fell, a wink, and I bumped my elbow quite hard, right in the funny bone.
You hear a sound of relief from behind you, and the attendant seems to move back down the hallway.
Richard will shut the door.
Did not fall, Richard. That hurt quite a bit.
I didn't hit it particularly hard. Terrible news, I think. It seems to have attached itself to you somehow. Richard just looks puzzled.
Perhaps we are going about this the wrong way. Perhaps instead of trying to get the arm to detach itself from me, maybe we need to lean into the situation.
I'm not sure I follow.
Well, perhaps I should keep the arm myself, since it's already attached to me and such. And perhaps because of that, I can find a way to harness or at least access whatever abilities the arm has.
I'm not entirely sure that's a wise idea. Whilst I certainly appreciate the scientific study element of it. The professor was quite clear that this was an occult artifact of evil power, I believe, were the words he used to describe it. I would hate for anything untoward to happen to you.
Well, I agree, and while I do trust you with Richard, I certainly hope that nothing happens to the arm on our travels. That could be quite painful for me.
Oh yes, I could quite imagine. Well, if you think it's best.
Well, I just would like to try it. I don't think it would hurt to try for a day or so, and then we can maybe revisit the situation. And of course, I would be under your direct care and study, and would report back to you with all findings.
Yes.
That way, you can keep an eye on me to make sure that nothing bad is happening.
Well, maybe for a day or two would be okay, but yes, I think we should be careful not to lean in too hard, as it were. Yes, don't become too attached to it.
Yes, of course. Small steps.
Yes, precisely. Small steps. Shall I get it now for you?
Yes, that would be appreciated.
Richard's looking kind of concerned, confused. He's thinking a lot of things at the minute.
So about normal.
Maggie's thinking she's going to sleep with that arm in the bed with her.
Wonderful. All right, so you go and get the arm for her, Richard?
Indeed.
What is maybe a little troubling, Maggie, is that when he gives you the arm back, you feel a little safer.
Yes, they're there. It's not that I don't trust you, Richard. I just feel well watching after it myself, but of course I will report any symptoms or side effects directly to you.
Yes, please do. I mean, you do realise I'm not a medical doctor.
Yes, well, we have Paul for that now. But still, you've had more learning and experience than me, so and I'm not sure how much we should share with the others just yet.
No, I think that Mr. Fraser is likely to want to destroy it, or me, or both.
Well, I don't think he can do that now.
When Richard gave Maggie the arm, does Richard kind of get the sense that it might be like a smoker who's not smoked for a few days having a puff on a cigarette, or
as Maggie's clutching the arm to her chest?
Well, I think you might consider, Professor, that maybe she's worried after seeing the beating that the arm has taken in the past and its effects on her, that if it's in her possession, maybe she feels a little bit safer because it directly affects her.
Seems sensible. Yeah. He's not going to think too much of that then. Well, yes, just be sure. Anything at all, you must let me know.
Yes, right away, Richard. Anytime, day or night, I will let you know.
Yes. Well, good evening, or morning, or whatever we should call this.
Yes. Good night, Richard.
Now, Richard's going to leave, wondering whether he's done the right thing or not, or whether Maggie's going to be possessed in about a quarter of an hour's time.
Yeah, he almost certainly hasn't.
So, you all lay down for a several-hour nap or sleep, as it were. And the beds here in the Orient Express are some of the finest that you've slept on. The Bristol Hotel was a nice appointment as well, but there is something about the ease and rhythm of the train that eases you into sleep. And what we're going to do now is we're going to have an investigator improvement session.
Yay!
So we'll take a slight pause and we'll jump out of character and we'll talk about all the fun things that our characters are hopefully going to have learned from their experiences. So the way I'd like to do this is, as you roll for your skill improvements, as we'll go through each investigator in a bit, I'd like you to see if you can tell me a little bit about how you got that check mark in your skill, just to make sure everybody remembers how they came about it. If you can't remember anything about it, a specific instance, it's perfectly fine. We'll still let you roll. All right, so first chair is James Robert Fraser, as played by our favorite.
Me.
So let's go through the skills, sir.
According to my notes, I have 3 skills that I have successfully rolled for since our last improvement phase. And they are Natural World, Spot Hidden, and French. Now, I can remember specifically the French roll that I made because it was when we were in Poissy. We were trying to get some information about where the Comte's residence might have been.
Mm-hmm.
Now, regards the other 2, I'm going to have to go back over my notes and see if I can find out.
Perfectly
because off
okay.
the top of my head, I can't remember.
Okay, so let's start with French then.
Okay. My skill level in French is currently 23. I remember the last time when I rolled for my German. I don't have a particularly high German skill, but I managed to roll really well, so it didn't improve me. Hopefully I can do a bit better with this one. No, I can't. I succeeded.
Oh,
I got a 21.
That's just tough business then.
I guess I'm never going to be a particularly cunning linguist.
Give it time. Give it time. Okay, so the next skill for you.
Let's do my natural world. It again is 23. Coincidentally. And that one I did fail. I got what appears to be more than just a coincidence, 69.
Fantastic. Or nice, as we might say here.
Nice.
Nice. All right, so take 5 points then in natural world.
Oh, lovely. So spot hidden. My spot hidden is pretty good.
Yes.
So I'm looking to fail on a 74. And would you believe it? I rolled a 76.
I would believe it. And would you believe that you are going to add 4 points to that skill?
Ooh, very nice. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
And that is me for my skills.
Okay, so let's talk about a little bit something at the end here. I'd like you to roll luck for me, sir.
Okay. Now, I believe I'm looking to try and fail this again.
You are.
Now, so my luck is currently 47. And I rolled a 70. Dead on.
Okay, that's a fail.
Okay.
So, Mr. Fraser, add 15 points of luck.
Oh, lovely. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And I'll wait till that at the end. I have a little special reward for everybody at the end.
Okay.
All right, so you're sorted for the time being. So that would be Lady Elizabeth, as played by Rena.
Yes.
Let's
So
go through your skills.
I have 5 improvements to make. Library use, occult, psychology, spot hidden, and French.
Mm-hmm.
So library use first. I believe this one was from when we were doing the reading in the basement at the asylum when I was doing my research down there. To look into the patients and the Comte. But my library use is 75, so I'm not sure if this is gonna go well for me. Would you believe in 91?
Yeah, it happens.
Thank you for rolling that 91 now and not like in an actual game roll.
All right, so that's 5 points to your library use.
Rolling a 91 on my first roll of the night, not auspicious. Occult, I don't remember when that was. It was during one of my reading trips. It might have been the one with Remy in the library when I was reading that very naughty book.
Well, you are a fan of naughty books. So.
I am.
And you still have that picture,
I do.
too.
Oh, I
You're
do.
running around with pornography.
Yes, well. Mhm.
So, yeah, so 53
Okay.
skills, so you've got to either get over or accept the trouble of winning.
Okay, 62.
Okay. So, that is 7 points of occult for you.
Wow. Okay, so the pornography worked really well for me there.
I mean,
Not a line I never thought I'd say, but okay. All right. Psychology. I genuinely don't remember this one. I don't remember when I rolled psychology.
okay, that's fine.
Let's
roll.
see. Need to roll above a 38. No, I got a 9.
Okay, well,
So that one stays where it is. Spot hidden. I think it was during another one of my research spots, but I'm not sure.
Or it could have been the fog, perhaps. In
Oh,
Charrington.
yeah, it could have been. Yeah, it was in the fog. It was in the fog when the fog came in, because I don't think Fraser saw it, but I did. So I'm looking to roll higher than a 53. Come on. Yes, 54.
54. Wow. All right, well, add 6 points to that.
Okay. Now French. This is the one I really want to improve because I've done so many French rolls.
Well, if you're over 50 in any language, you're considered fluent.
Yes, that's what I want. So I passed French multiple times when we're in the library, and then again in the basement when I was doing my research, because most things were in French.
Yep.
So looking to be 47, 57.
All right. Now,
Please.
that is 7 points to your French
Woo!
skill. So you're officially
54.
fluent in French. All right, luck roll.
Okay. Well, I have 67 luck, so... yeah, no, I rolled a 5 on that.
Yeah. Well, so that's not super great for you, so you can have 2 more points of luck.
Okay. 69. Nice.
Nice. All right, so we'll save the present that everybody gets till the end. And so that would give us a chance to talk with Giles, who plays Simon Griffith.
Hi, so I have 5, also, just like Rena. First one is first aid, which I believe was when I stabilized our fascist friend after pinning him to the wall.
Quite possibly.
And that is a 98, so that will improve.
You've definitely failed that. So you get 4 more points of first aid.
Second one is that extreme library use I got last session. And that's a 95.
All right.
I actually learned to read books.
So that is 10 points of your library, so you've maxed the meter.
30 now. All right, the next one is spot hidden, which I honestly can't recall because there were a few times I succeeded on spot hidden rolls. So I have a 43, 79.
Right. That is 2 points.
Oh dear. Well, it's a 45 now. Now this is stealth. This is the one where the third time was the charm, and I rolled that extreme to walk out of the office past the doctor with the box after multiple fails and distractions.
Yes, Charrington was such a fun place for everybody.
Oh yeah. So let's see this. I have to beat a 60, so I doubt this one, but let's try. No, that's a 37. I am not going to erase that one anytime soon.
Alrighty.
And the last one was that successful geology roll at Posse. And that one will not go up either. That is a 16. So.
All right. So make me a luck roll.
I have a luck of 59 currently. And I pass it at 28.
Okay. So you get 5 more points of luck.
64. I will take it. Thank you.
All right. So Miss Bellinger is played by our very own Miranda.
Yes. So I have 3 skills. I've been racking my brain trying to remember, and also I now have a note that says take note when you pass a skill check on my computer. But, so I had to listen, and I may or may not be right, but I know one of us, either me or Martin, had to hear noises in the catacombs, which is what led us to Guillaume, so it may have been that.
That was you.
Okay, yeah, so we had a lot of failed rolls down there, but that wasn't one of them. And then spot hidden, I had a couple of. I know I saw the box, though they next to the nurse's station or the attendant station in the asylum. And also, did I spot hidden the arm behind all the plants?
You did.
Okay. And then French, I passed one time out of many times I rolled. And I don't remember which one passed. I just remember, gosh darn it, I was trying to speak French a lot.
Alrighty. Well, start with listen.
Okay, I'll start with listen. That is a fail. That's a 90 against 60.
All right, so 7 more points of listen.
Okay. My ears have gotten larger. So spot hidden. I only have a 25 in, so we'll see. 61 against 25.
All right, so that is 6 more points of spot hidden.
Okay, and then French. Good old French. 68 against 26.
All right, that is 9 more points of French.
Goodness.
You picked up quite a bit of French in your...
Yeah. Practice makes perfect, and I got practice it.
And then a luck roll, if you would, please.
Okay, yes. I have 54 luck currently, so we'll see what I roll. 62 against 54.
All right, let's see, we'll die. So that is... that's 10 points of luck.
Nice. I can spend them speaking French, but not as much because we're leaving France.
You are. You're going to Switzerland.
I refuse to speak anything else.
Spoken like a real American. All right, so we will move on to our last investigator, and that would be Professor Courtney, played by Martin. So, Martin.
Right, so I've got 5, and after last time, I've actually written them all down, so I know what I did and where.
Wonderful.
So the first one is library use, and whether I can read my own handwriting is another story, but we'll go with what we got. I've got Bastille scribbled down next to library use, so I must have made a roll in there and succeeded.
All right, well, give it a roll.
So that is 5, so that's a spectacular success.
So that stays where it's at.
Yeah. So the next one is spot hidden, and I did something in the catacombs, and also when I used the device in France, I managed to spot something, I think to do with one of the soldiers that I saw there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a 23, so that's another spectacular pass. I don't know why I can't get these rolls when I need them, but...
Well, you're saving them all for here.
Yeah, that'd be it. The next one is locksmith. So picked the lock that was holding Guillaume back in the catacombs.
Yes, that's fantastic.
Oh, would you believe it?
I would.
So I've got a skill of 20 in locksmith, and I've just rolled 2.
Well, it stays where it's put. If it was good enough for Guillaume, it's good enough for the rest of the journey, evidently.
Absolutely. And I've written down spot hidden again, so that doesn't count. And the last one was persuade. And I don't know if you remember, but Richard made a spectacular trio of successful persuade rolls with Del Plas to let Paul go and also write him a good reference.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I've just rolled an 18.
Did you pass every skill roll that you were going to improve? Yeah. Okay.
Really well as well. They were either all extreme or hard, I think. But
no, you don't see dice like those again. So,
No.
So now roll luck.
Yeah, 67, and I got 91.
Okay, you have 91 luck. We'll work on that, Richard. All right, 2 more points for you.
Of luck.
Yeah, because you get some even if you if you fail, you get a little bit.
Even better. Right, that's 93 now.
It's almost max the meter, folks. That means he dies next. No, I'm kidding. Okay,
Yeah,
so
you heard it here first, folks.
So now, something for everybody. Over this evening, you can all heal 2 additional hit points. And for your work in France, for acquiring the first piece, you will recover 3 points of sanity. And Martin and Miranda, for freeing Guillaume, you will get 4 points of sanity back. So if you make those...
For realizing that Guillaume is free, you will lose 1d6 points of sanity.
They unleashed a people eater into Paris and they get sanity back.
Yeah, so...
It aligns, I think, with our characters that we would feel good about letting him out.
It's a dead people eater.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And Maggie still is kind of in denial about that.
Yes, as you should be. So yes, you all get some sanity back for doing some decent things. Oh, I almost forgot. Mr. Fraser and Mr. Griffith, you get 2 points of sanity back for getting to the bottom of the death of Nina Cavallaro.
Oh, great.
However grisly it may have ended for said person, you did get to the bottom of it.
Do I get any sand for acquiring an NPC?
Nope.
So hold on a minute.
You already
We
get-
only
you got
get
it,
2
it's
sand back for foiling a fascist plot.
Yeah.
And they get... What did they get?
They got
4s?
four back. Yeah, because it's
4
D4.
back for letting
Apples
a
and
creature
oranges,
loose
apples
upon
and
Paris.
oranges.
We're doing something wrong, Giles.
Yes, you need to consort with more ghouls.
I mean, I suppose we could teach the ghouls gardening. They could be useful, Fraser.
Graveyard gardening.
What about if we taught a ghoul to foil a fascist plot?
You got some hit points back. You got some luck back. You got some sanity back. So the evening draws on. All of you tucked respectively into your sleeping berths on the Orient Express. But that doesn't mean that the adventure ends for the day. And each one of you, in your own way, come to realize that your consciousness has gone to play. Whether that be your active consciousness or your subconscious. And one by one, you begin to see something otherworldly in your mind. A dream, perhaps? Maybe. You see cobblestone streets, Tudor-style houses. You are standing in an alleyway, just off what looks like a main thoroughfare. And oddly enough, you are standing near the people that you left not but hours ago, together, although something is uniquely different about each one of you. Lady Elizabeth, the man to your left, you know, is Mr. Fraser. Although it doesn't look like Mr. Fraser. You get a feeling, a sense that it's him, if only for a fleeting moment or two, before your vision goes to the next person in line. Again, Mr. Griffith is to your right, although this visual is certainly not him. And the same goes true for Maggie. The same goes true for the professor. Each one standing in place, each one seeming to come to their senses just a few fleeting moments after you have. You each in turn have this feeling, this experience of standing near the people you'd been at but hours before in the salon car, and now standing in something that looks like Tudor era England. It's as if you're together, and yet you can't possibly be together. Mr. Fraser, when you look down at yourself, you are wearing a thick and luxurious hunter green doublet. You're piped in golden finery, and you wear a chained pocket watch on your left side. The uniform looks something akin to royalty, or perhaps a high-ranking military officer. You're far more than the manservant that you've been cast as. Maggie, across from you is a being which you associate as Lady Elizabeth Fitzroy. Although there is nothing about her body and face that appears in the same way. She's regal and awe-inspiring. She has this open-robed outfit that explodes in blues and lavender, pink shoulders. Atop her head sits a tall hat bathed in electric blue colors and purple accents. Her eyes have even widened slightly, and her irises transform into this deep gray pool. You feel a sense of wonder at her visage, caution when you first glance her direction. Richard, the man to your left must be Mr. Griffith. You've gotten to know him so well. But there is truly something about him that simply does not make up who he was. He wears a wide green cape with thick shoulder pads, almost as if he's a soldier of some sort. He's armed with 2 different swords. He's got several leather pouches around his waist. You get a feeling like he's prepared for a fight. He wears a pair of sturdy, almost squash color leathered boots. But what strikes you first is the eye patch that covers his right eye, and the vicious vertical scar that runs down the right side of his forehead. Simon, you got to know the professor pretty well, and you've been keeping an eye on both him and Miss Maggie for some time. But the woman who stands next to you couldn't possibly be Maggie until your brain corrects your first fleeting thought and agrees that it is. Maggie is bedecked in green and black Hellenic-style robes. Her body is wrapped with a sort of additional cloak that accents her right arm and attaches near these thick bands of gold that she wears there. Atop her head is an intricate weave of golden leaves and ribbons. And just behind her there, perched atop a shipping crate in the alleyway, are 2 massive ravens that stare back at you when you notice them. And Lady Elizabeth, if you didn't know any better, you would have had to stifle a laugh at your first reaction when seeing who you can only assume is Professor Courtney. He's been saddled a bit by an outfit which you're not truly certain where he got it at. He's clothed as a courtesan scholar or some teacher. Billowy sleeved tunic accented by a massive collar and a wide brass belt. Underneath that tunic is an emerald green undershirt and matching pants. The clothing itself is so extensive that you can tell he's already trying to adjust himself to make sure he doesn't trip over it. But the one thing you notice that is certain, and that is in his hand, is the same case that the sextant sits in. And the sounds of the alleyway finally appear in your ears. The din of the community, the rolling of carts, and ever so slightly in the distance, you hear the meow, and then another one, and another one, as cats begin to roam through the city streets.
Lady E is ecstatic that there's cats, but she's also having to stifle a very socially inappropriate giggle when she looks at the professor.
Mr. Fraser, you feel particularly unburdened by your former job. You don't feel a sense of direct employment here. It's rather strange.
I kind of look around at the surroundings and at the people that I'm with. Do I get a sense that despite the fact that they don't look like my travelling companions, that they are my travelling companions? Do I have a kind of an innate knowledge, or do I just think, where am I? What's going on here?
No, it's definitely the former. There's nothing more truer than the first thought you may have had, which was, yes, they may not look like them, but I know these men and women.
What's going on?
So, we're all here, right? It's not just me dreaming this.
It seemed to be some sort of shared dream.
Can you have that?
Well, I don't see why not.
There's been some sort of experimental medical therapy and that sort of thing, I believe, in psychiatry, but never experienced it myself.
And we've seen plenty of strange things recently.
I don't feel quite myself.
You don't look quite yourself either, Fraser.
I don't know what. I have a beard. What do I look like?
You look a bit like a captain of the guard.
I don't understand. Where are we? How is this possible?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Strange.
I'm sure we'll all wake up sooner or later.
Richard's going to reach into his pocket and see if he can find his dice.
Oh, yeah, there they are.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
He's going to see if he can find somewhere to roll them.
Yeah, that's your totem. If they just keep rolling and don't stop, we're still dreaming.
I mean, there's a shipping crate nearby, but there are 2 massive ravens on it.
He'll wander over to the crate and roll the dice.
One of the ravens picks out the dice, like the first one, and the other one gets the other one.
Well, you had your dice.
Come back with those.
They stretch out they don't fly off, they just stretch out their wings really, really wide. And then fat them. And then, Maggie, you get the sense that the birds are just having fun.
Yes.
They fly over and try to drop the dice in your hand.
I'll take the dice.
Um,
Did you want these back, Richard?
yes, please. It's not supposed to work like that.
You don't expect a raven to grab your dice every time you roll them?
No. Well, remind me to tell you about that. If I may, Richard will wander over and grab the dice.
Yep. Here you go.
Thank you. He'll just throw them on the floor, see if he can roll them on the floor.
They roll. They kind of pitch and go in a couple of different directions because it's cobblestone.
Now, what numbers come up?
3 and 5.
3 and 5. So, for the sake of not boring the pants off of everybody else...
I know you've already succeeded in doing that.
Sorry.
Too late. He's going to do this a few times and just, work out whether the numbers always come up the same or, whether there's an odd pattern.
You continue to generate random numbers every time that you roll them.
So, when we hear each other speaking, are our voices different to what we're used to? Or are they the same? Or?
Slightly. I guess what you would experience it as is delay. And so you seem to speak with a different tone, Fraser, at least until the first maybe 5 or 6 sentences get out. And then you seem to revert back to what you would consider your normal voice.
Right, okay.
We seem to be in some form of group hallucination.
Aye, yes, I dare say. Something like that.
But from what I can tell, this is, of a sense, real.
Well, isn't that the point of a hallucination? That it seems real.
Your mind is telling you these things are real, Professor, or whatever you are?
Yes, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, it can't be, yet it appears to be real.
Well, I mean, look at the lady. She don't look like nobody I've ever seen.
No.
What does your scientific mind tell you, Professor? Where do you think we are? What do you think's happened?
It's an interesting question. I mean, if you recall the Challenger lectures, Professor Smith was talking about the supernatural and then there's the device, the arm. Seems somewhat connected, don't you think?
I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
We didn't put your bloody device on, though. You shoved it on Lady Ian yourself.
Yes.
Do you think the device is responsible for what's happened to us here? Or the arm, perhaps?
The arm certainly seemed to have more effect on its surroundings. The device, just it's the recipient at the time.
Does anyone have the arm on them currently?
None of you see the arm.
I check my person for the arm.
Yeah, you don't so much have a purse, actually.
No, person.
Oh, your
Sorry.
person. Well,
Yes.
Unless you're hiding it someplace that we've not discussed, you don't have the arm on you.
Okay.
A couple of cats have seeped their way into the alleyways, and they're actually seeming to tug and pull at Lady Elizabeth's clothing. They seem to be very interested in all of the billowy fabrics. And as I mentioned, Lady Elizabeth, this is a fairly open robe. There's no actual belt proper to it. So you're quite progressive in your clothing choices, at least in here, it seems.
Oh, well, I'm enjoying that, probably.
It's very comfortable. And there are many cats about.
Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna just sort of kneel down a little bit and hold out my hand, palm up, to the closest cat, like you do, to show that you're not a threat, and see if it'll sniff at my hand or let me pet it.
Sure. And you get 1 and then 2 and 3 and 4.
Your ladyship, how are you feeling?
Quite well, actually. Which is surprising. But, well, it seems like cats like me just as much here as they do back home. So it can't be all bad.
Aye, maybe not. So, we're all asleep in our berths on the train, and we're all dreaming this dream together.
Yes, I do wonder what it says about our collective subconscious.
A chance to dream.
Aye, but that's death, is it not? That sleep of death. Well, the dreams may come when we have shuffled off this mortal coil. Must give us pause.
Oh, there's plenty of paws around here. Keep scratching at the cats. Like behind their ears and under their chins.
You hear a voice in the distance. Hurry! The train's coming! It's a definitely human voice.
Train, shall we?
I suppose.
Yes, we probably should.
Yeah, the cats perk up as well when they hear someone mention a train, and the cats begin moving back out into the street.
You're welcome to come along if you like, I say to the cats as I move down the street.
You exit out of the alleyway and into the street, into this Tudor-style environment. At least some of the houses here are definitely Tudor, given the architecture. And this step out into the alleyway is a step out into another world entirely. So beyond the thatched roof of the alleyways and the relative cover, the environment that spreads out and stretches out before you is, for a moment, mind-boggling. The ground goes sweeping downwards, almost as if there's a river that way. And then it leads up sharply again to what appears to be a beautifully built, lofty platform with exquisite Ottoman ivory arches near the what looks to be the end of town. The setting sun pours this beautiful amber light over the platform, and it gives a warm and mellow tone to everything it touches. The sky is not yours, nor is it one that you're accustomed to. There are forms and shapes that flow through the air here which you're not familiar with. There are 6-winged butterflies, and beyond that, in the streets, cats aplenty. You've never seen so many cats, Mr. Fraser. There must be thousands of them. All types, all shapes and sizes and colors. And each one of them is headed in a mad dash down the cobblestone streets here towards the platform.
So many cats here. What is this place?
Heaven?
Not my heaven. No, not my heaven. Someone else.
Well, cats were worshipped as gods in Egypt, and some would say they still believe they're gods now, so maybe this is their heaven.
Well, we are in the cat's heaven.
Just shrugs and smiles, feeling better than she has for years.
If we were in heaven, I wouldn't have a need for these blades.
Yeah, now that you look at it, Mr. Fraser, you've a saber as well, but this is much more of a military weapon that you carry. It's almost if you're a member of the cavalry or something. Mr. Griffith's swords are that of a mercenary. Wide blades, perhaps a hand and a half sword there, and then another arming sword to his right.
Why have we taken these forms? Are these the appearances of who we secretly wish to be in our hearts? Or are these other people taken on the appearance of people who really exist? That can't be right. Or is it just random? Trick of the mind?
Sometimes you can draw no meaning from your dreams. I often awake and try to discern what my previous night's dreams meant and why I maybe dreamed one thing and not the other, but sometimes it's just nonsense.
Did you say that Richard had his bag with him?
You have the case which has the sextant in it. That is what you have.
Is the sextant in it?
I don't know. You can open it.
I think so.
Okay. You stop. Open up the case latches and you open it up and see that, yeah, there it is. It's quite a different color, though. It doesn't look brass at all. It looks almost opaque white.
Richard sort of pulls it out and says, "Wow, this is most odd. It's white."
I look at it to see if it has all the lenses or if it's still broken.
It does have all of the lenses that it had before. So there is still the missing lens and the cracked lens.
To be honest with you, Professor Courtney, if it looked the same as usual, that would almost be more surprising.
Yes, but I do have my dice, and they do appear to roll like dice. As some anchor of reality.
And they are your dice, the same size and shape and colour as you're used to.
I believe them to be.
So I'm going to start sort of feeling around my clothing to see if there's a pouch or a pocket, just to see if there's anything familiar in it, something from my waking world that I would recognise.
Well, I suppose what would... perhaps your pipe?
Perhaps my pipe, yes, just what I was thinking.
Indeed, there it is.
Well, I never.
Although, this is more of a meerschaum-style pipe. This is quite exquisite.
Oh. This is most peculiar. Not altogether unpleasant, though, I would say, strangely enough.
It feels as if it's a dream that maybe should have a fever pitch of anxiety to it, just being out of your element, but none of you are experiencing that feeling. All you've been left with, at least for the moment, is the wonder that awaits. The cats continue to proceed down the main street towards the train station platform. You are seeing other humans here as well. Just a few. They seem commoners, laborers, just going about their cottages, whether it be farming or whether it be tanning, that sort of thing.
So we seem to be dressed in various different styles, not necessarily all styles of the same period, same place and period. Is that right? Am I understanding that right?
Yeah, you understand that fairly well.
And what about everyone else in this place? Are they all dressed in this kind of variety of different clothing types?
Mr. Fraser, you would say that they're a little bit more muted. They seem to be, roughly speaking, wearing the same era of clothing. You definitely get a 1400s.
Kind of a commonality to them, whereas we're a little bit different.
Yes.
Are we getting any funny looks from people? Are we kind of standing out in the crowd because of that?
You stand out in the crowd, but it doesn't seem that any of the human eyes that look upon you see you as strange. And from the interactions that you noticed with the cats earlier in the alley, they don't seem to be bothering you as well. Although there are a fair amount of them around now, and so I'd like everyone to roll dexterity for me as you move through the streets.
Don't want to stand on a poor cat.
Don't step on the cat. That is a pass for me, 49 under 55.
All right.
And oh dear, I think I've stood on the cat. That's 91 over 60.
Okay, so it is a fail. You could push that roll if you...
Let me just double check, sorry. Yeah, that's 91. Okay, yeah, so I see my foot is about to come down fairly firmly on the tail of one of the cats. And in order to avoid that, I just kind of do a little a hop and a skip to try and get onto there's maybe a little bit of kind of paving stone or something that's a slightly different height. So I try and do that to avoid it. And I'll try and push the roll, because I don't really want to. Mr. Fraser's not terribly keen on cats, but he doesn't want to stand on one. However, it seems that what Mr. Fraser wants and what Mr. Fraser gets are not necessarily the same thing. So that's a 77 over 60 there. That's not fair.
So you come down on the wrong side of a big, bushy, furry Maine Coon tail. And the cat lets out an enormous yelp and hiss. And then 4 or 5 cats nearby bolt in all different directions. As if there's just an explosion of fur.
Damn. Oh. What a clumsy.
I got a 65 under 80, so I do not step on a cat.
That's good.
Richard got a 7, which is an extreme success.
And Maggie got an 8. So not quite as good as Richard.
Yeah, Richard, amazingly enough, even though you've been saddled with this billowy, just it's a trouble. All these sleeves, you don't understand how anyone would dress like this. It does remind you a bit of the university days, but with some of the more important teachers and the dean and whatnot in formal dress. But this is even quite a bit much for them. But you make it out without stepping on a cat, all except, of course, for Mr. Fraser. So, after the cats bolt in all different directions, you pick up something fairly easy to notice, and that is a line of rather dark-furred cats that begin to appear in the shop windows and the house windows as you're making your way down. Lady Elizabeth, you're first to notice this as you've been kind of paying attention to the feline situation that has been drawn to you. You're getting quite a bit of, standoffishness from several of the cats.
Not entirely annoyed by that myself, because Mr. Fraser's not massively keen on cats, so the fact that they're keeping their distance from him is actually it's not too disturbing, not too irritating.
And Lady Elizabeth is fine with this because cats need their space sometimes, just like she does, so she respects their space.
Why don't you give me a spot hidden roll?
Ooh. With my new improved spot hidden.
That's right.
Ooh. 16 under 59. That is a hard success.
So the cottage you pass with as your group continues down the path here, the cottage you pass, there are 2 or 3 cats that are giving Mr. Fraser the evil eye. You feel their gaze on him. And then you begin to notice that there are quite a few of the same kind of dark furred cats that have picked up behind the party here. And they're keeping their distance, but they're also following.
I don't think they like you, Mr. Fraser.
I dare say, yes. If someone stood on me, I think I would perhaps not take too kindly to them either.
You could try apologizing.
Apologize to a cat?
Well, yes. She just got this wicked gleam in her eye. I mean, the felines over there do appear to be staring at you with some sort of intent.
Well, unfortunately, I don't speak cat, so...
Well, maybe they speak English.
Yes, I do strongly feel that while we may not be able to communicate in an animal's language, that they can sometimes understand us, and if this is a dream, it's not out of the realm of possibilities.
Well, if they understand us, then perhaps they'll understand that it was merely an accident. Perhaps they're observant enough to realise that I didn't deliberately step on them. And in fact, I went out of my way to try and avoid stepping on them.
Yes, but if you did the same to, maybe you stepped on my foot or the Lady Elizabeth's, even though we know that it's unintentional, you'd still certainly apologize, wouldn't you?
No, I do believe, ladies, you are goading me into making myself look a little foolish by speaking to an animal. And
I speak to animals all the time. I don't think it's foolish at all.
We're all in a dream here. You might as well do something. This is not like the real world, is it?
Well, you do have a point there, Mr. Griffith. You do have a point. We are in a dream. None of it's real. Why not? So I'll turn and very elaborately make a low bow and say, "Ladies and gentlemen of the feline persuasion, please accept my heartfelt apologies for my clumsiness in treading upon your good selves earlier on. I assure you it was entirely unintentional."
So you turn around and you give a very low bow with respect, because you, as a man of both proper upbringing and proper etiquette, understand how to give a good bow. And when you do so, and you bring your eyes back up just to complete the action, you can see that there are between maybe 30 to 50 cats that are looking at you. And while they might be relatively small by comparison, the sheer number of them is unnerving. And they're not sweeping their tails around and milling about. They have paused and have you locked in their sights.
So I will straighten up again and look around. I wasn't quite expecting to be being stared at by so many cats, and it's a little bit disquieting. Well, I'm not sure what effect that had, but here we are.
And you continue down the path again. The station itself is not too much further down the way. There is a sign nearby, lettered in these beautiful shimmering tiles, that says Ulthar Station. There are no tracks on the other side of this platform. You can see there's a long green grass. You see it's quite heavily laden with dew, and then studded with strange round imprints on the other side of this mist. It's grown up around the platform. To the left of this spacious platform is a cordoned off area. It's cordoned off with red rope. There's a small, exquisitely detailed sign that says cats only. Beyond this barrier, you can see that many of the cats have moved into that cats only area, and they've begun to take up position. You see that there are several latecomers who are flitting by and maybe even through some of your clothing and legs to get to where they need to go. And so there are all kinds here, right? So different accents on their fur. Some of the cats here have what look like paint marks on them, as if they've styled themselves. There's a few haughty Siamese that sit off to one side, trying to stay away from the rest of them. There's also kittens as well. It's quite the scene. There's probably 200 to 300 cats just in this area. There's a blue and red carpet that's embroidered with gold that leads from that station entrance to the edge of the platform. And the writing on the carpet is unmistakable. It says, "The Dreamlands Express."
Well, appears we are in some sort of group dream.
This is highly unusual. Should we take the train?
I don't see why not.
Oh, hello! You hear a voice call.
Hello.
You see a stick-thin man dressed in blue and gold. Seems very similar to the Orient Express uniform. He stands on the far side of the platform. He begins to walk your way. He has white gloves, almost a sailor's, like an admiral's hat on. Looks a little bit overblown, but perhaps he likes it because it matches the uniform. He has a white and wide mask on, long bird beak. And Maggie, you get the initial impression that it unnerves the ravens a little bit.
I'll try to calm the ravens down a little bit if I can.
He wears a 3-cornered hat in the previous French style. And you hear him say, "Madame, messieurs, the train is coming. Please prepare to board."
Thank you.
Oh, you will need a ticket.
Yes.
Yes.
He steps over. So, one for each of you. He reaches into his pocket and begins taking out this rather wide ticket. And on top of it, it says Dreamlands Express ticket. And so the interior of the ticket is filled with quite a bit of text, which you have to get closer to see and read well. It says, "Welcome to a journey beyond the wall of sleep. Dearest dreamers, your travels aboard this greatest of all Dreamland shuttles may be short or long and possibly memorable. You may use your ticket to journey between the cities the train serves." So it goes through a list. Ulthar, Dalthine, Sar, Aforet, quite a few extras that you have a very difficult time pronouncing. If you stay on the train beyond Serenium, which it seems to be the end of the line, it is assured that you will wish to discard your fears into the Gulf of Nodens. Beyond Serenian, there is no return. At journey's end, you will return to the waking world. And then in tiny, tiny text, Richard, which you have to get very close to, you can see it says, "Human dreamers may travel the Dreamlands Express for free."
Well, that's convenient.
The curious thing about this ticket that all of you immediately recognize is that you've never heard of a single city on this ticket. And strangely, the ticket, it's really not even big enough to contain the text that's on it. But it seems to expand when you need to read it automatically.
Curiouser and curiouser.
Does Richard have his notebook on him?
You reach in and you fish out a handful of papers and a quill and ink vial. This looks, well, a bit out of sorts. That's not your regular notebook.
Strange. Richard's just going to start making copious notes about the ticket, the appearance of the conductor, the cats, and anything else that he can see that's odd, which is probably pretty much everything at this point.
Yeah, everything at this point.
And he's probably also going to write on the back of the ticket and just see if that'll expand or move to fit any writing that he might write on the back.
So a few more human passengers begin to arrive. Some of them have trunks and some of them have goods. And it looks like there's a pretzel vendor that seems to arrive, and he begins selling these hot pretzels. They smell fantastic.
What's going on with the cats just now?
They are, well, most of them around you are waiting to board, I guess, this train that's arriving. Although there is still a fair good collection behind you that are watching your every move, Miss Fraser.
Does their attitude appear to have changed at all?
It has not.
Don't think so. Just kind of look around the others and say, I'm not entirely sure that my little speech there had the desired effect. Perhaps they don't understand me after all. But it is strange that there seem to be so many of them here. And they look like, well, if I didn't know better, I'd say they were waiting to board the train.
So, amongst the other humans that are here, you make out a couple of fairly distinct people. So, there's a man with massive mutton chop whiskers. He's dressed in woolen garments, carries a briefcase. There's a gaunt and severely older woman in a high Elizabethan collar. She's dressed quite finely. Fairly dapper gentleman in fur-trimmed boots. And the men and women that are amongst the crowd nod to you. They seem to accept your presence there. You get a good feeling from most of the common folk that are around. They're not at all unnerved by your appearance in the slightest.
How are all these people reacting to the cats?
I mean, they react as if they're there. You can see that they walk around them. They wait for the cats that are continuing to move into this cats only area.
But it doesn't seem strange to them that there's so many cats about.
It does not. Not in the slightest. You begin to feel a heavy thump from beyond the mist here. And you start to see a shape that begins to move through the landscape. You see multiple funnels of steam jet out over the station in multiple different directions as this monstrosity emerges. You see a bloated, bulbous mass. An octopus, a centipede, some type of spider thing. You see these different sections of what appear to be some sort of grotesque creature amble out of the landscape. It's got multiple mouths. They open and shut. It's got eyes in every different direction. It stomps along on dozens of stumpy limbs that fold in and out of its body. To be honest, it looks like the beast was dredged up from some unfathomable abyss. Tentacles writhe freely all along its flanks. Behind the beast and its tentacles are entwined with a second one, and then a third, and a fourth, as an enormous train of these beasts finish their arrival. And if it wasn't all a dream, you'd be horrified.
Well, that's interesting.
Yes, interesting in a horrifying kind of way.
The lead beast stops in the station and exhales out of its mouth and snouts. And you see a shiver go down this creature engine as multiple tentacles writhe along and flap against the platform. As streams of eldritch smog snort out its many orify. The conductor, still stiff straight, walks over to the roped line where the cats are and pleasantly opens the line and extends his hands toward the open maw, which the cats dive in with abandon.
Well, here we go. Never been swallowed before. This will be fun.
Yes, and I believe if we're dreaming, no harm can really come to us, so we must do as the cats do, I guess.
An excellent philosophy for life, I've always said.
You approach the gentleman, and he extends his hand. Welcome aboard the Dreamlands Express to the land of hope that lies beyond the city of gold. Your ticket, please.
And show them my ticket.
Yep.
He doesn't take it from you. He simply nods. Please keep it with you at all times.
Thank you. And I stride regally after the cats.
You begin to stride in, and he lifts his left hand just ever so slightly and says, "As you are a dreamer, I must remind you that there is only one journey granted to each soul. Once you enter the train, you cannot come back to Ulthar Station."
So this is a one-way ticket then?
He turns to you. Of a sort. Although you are allowed to rest and sleep aboard this express, you will simply return to the waking world.
Do we have further business in Ulthar? Or
The cats continue to stream in.
I don't think the denizens of this place are particularly fond of Mr. Fraser, so perhaps it's better if we continue on.
That may be true. Though he did have quite a grand apology to them.
Well, if a job's worth doing, it's worth doing properly.
The gentleman in the hat nods. A saying I am used to, sir.
Ah, and who may you be, sir? If I may ask.
I am Henry Peters, conductor of the once conductor, he laughs, of the Orient Express. I created my Dreamlands Express, he extends his arms out, for all those who ride the Orient Express. At this momentous occasion, we'll be able to take you all the way to the Gulf of Nodens, should you so choose, where you may unburden yourself of your fears.
Goodness me. That's quite the thing.
Indeed.
And where is this Gulf of... What did you say? Nodens, was it?
Yes, sir. Gulf of Nodens. It's just down the line. He extends his hand towards the direction, the path the train is going.
one other question I have. It mentions this journey's end. Is that a particular place on the line, or some other such event?
The Dreamlands Express ends beyond Seranian. There is no return trip for you. And so when the time is right, you will slumber and return to the waking world. Now that you are here, now that you are in the Dreamlands, you may come and go to this realm as you so choose. You've made the path.
I'm not quite sure I follow. Is it possible to wake and then return to the Dreamlands if we've not gone beyond Seranian? Or do we need to go beyond Seranian to wake?
It is possible to wake and go back, and come back. But once we arrive at the Gulf of Nodens and you unburden yourself of your fear, it will signal the final ride on the Dreamlands Express.
Yes.
Final ride meaning death, final ride, or final ride meaning go back to the real world and can't come back? This seems like a very important distinction to me.
My apologies. What it means is that for humans of the waking world, such as yourself, you are only allowed one complete journey from Ulthar to beyond the Gulf once. It does not mean you would not be able to come back to the Dreamlands. They are vast. It simply means that one soul, one ticket. Unless, of course, you find a way to acquire another soul. He laughs.
And these locations on the ticket, we may visit them and return to the waking world and then come back on the train again, or is that?
Oh, I should hope
am
so.
I misunderstanding? Ah, right.
No, I should hope so. Just as you're familiar with train rides from the waking world, this is much the same.
Ah.
You'll have a chance to travel the Dreamlands aboard the Dreamlands Express to make stops and to investigate the differences between the two places. And there are many differences.
And where would you recommend we who are making our first venture into this place of yours? What is this? Dilathleen, is that right?
Yeah, that is our first. Well, if I may be so bold, sir, I would say that all the cities along the route have their own special flavor, but none so much better than the Salankar aboard the Dreamlands Express. Do you prefer sauna or perhaps a soothing massage? We have many, many fineries and many pleasures that can be found aboard the train.
I really couldn't say. Perhaps a massage, if one is to be obtained aboard.
Without question. Separate sections for ladies and men and those who perhaps choose both.
Sounds absolutely marvelous. I'm going to have a look around.
Indeed, he again gestures towards the train.
On we go. And I'm going to enjoy this dream.
Very well. Is anyone staying in Ulthar?
Not me.
No.
Maggie, your ravens tuck in on your shoulders. They're a bit weighty, but they do seem to like the train a little bit better than Ulthar. They were getting some strange looks from some of the cats there.
Yeah.
That reminds me, actually, just before I kind of move on, or I'll take a couple of steps and then I'll turn back and I'll say, the cats. There seem to be rather a lot of cats here.
The conductor chimes in. Yes, Ulthar is the city of cats. It's their city, and because I needed a starting point for the train, I chose Ulthar, and the cats allowed me to pick up the first station here, and the deal is that they ride the train for free.
I'm sorry. Did you say the cats allowed you to?
Oh, yes. The cats run Ulthar.
Forgive me. I was forgetting them for a moment that I was in a dream. Of course, the cats run Ulthar. Yes. And I would imagine they are not best pleased at my my slight mishap in the street earlier on.
Oh, he looks genuinely concerned. Was there a mishap?
Oh, I stumbled momentarily, and unfortunately, in trying to right myself, I stood on the tail of one of the cats rather heavily.
He recoils from you a little bit. Here, he begins to pat his uniform down. Yes, I still have some. He gives you a piece of wax paper.
Oh, what is this for?
Inside the wax paper, there seems to be some sort of biscuit.
Oh, a tidbit.
Yes, make your apologies quickly before we disembark.
Oh, well, all right then. I don't see any reason why not. I'll give the cat a wee treat. I'll do that then. I'll just kind of make my way down the steps off the train and here, kitty. I've got to be something for you.
You get the first cat to get a little closer. A couple of these black cats get a little closer to you, and as they do, a couple more get closer.
Here you are. Oh, do you like that? Well, no, I've got one for you too. No, don't all crowd. I don't have enough for everyone, but here we go. I'll just sort of sprinkle a few on the ground. There you are now. Help yourselves.
They seize upon them pretty quickly. And with your offering, you feel that you're able to perhaps step away from the scene.
My apologies to the wee fellow whose tail I stood on there. And I'll be seeing you one day, perhaps. Maybe. Cheery bye. Get up onto the train. Yeah.
You all step through the open maw of some foreign beast. And as you enter, Mr. Fraser, you find yourself aboard a extravagantly appointed train. Although it is a bit alien even to your eyes to see the seats here, or what Henry would call seats. But the maw snaps closed, and with a shudder and a groan, you feel the thumping return, the heavy, rhythmic thumping, as this chain of malformed beasts walks out of Ulthar. And that is where I will leave you. Thank you so much for listening to the first season of Horror on the Orient Express, as presented by the Old Ways podcast. We will see you next season.
Sleep, succor for the mortal frame, to ensure the frail corpus of man might heal. From their simple first stumbling little steps out of the watery depths, those earth-born bodies have been chained to the land of dreams. A land I know all too well. I whisper to the beings there, and many of those creatures are under my dominion. There is no escape from my sight, not even beyond the wall of sleep. Enjoy your respite, little ones. It will not silence the chill you feel in your arm, nor the thoughts of the fair child and what becomes of her thanks to your discovery.